Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this walkthrough flip through of two new dark decks that have come into my collection. Yes, this is a 2-for-1 because I have been getting a little bit behind on my walkthroughs. So I'm going to be sharing with you my flip throughs of both of these decks. So I recently brought into my collection the Darkness of Light Tarot is the creator's name. There we go. By, oh no, it's not, Wavelength Laboratory. I'm sure there's a name. But anyways, I brought in the Darkness of Light Tarot and the Triomphe De La Luna. Now the Triomphe has actually been on my list for a long time. Let's do this one first. This deck's been on my list for a very long time. I actually at one point had done a trade and had the Triomphe, the Paradoxical Rose edition, but I hated the paradoxical coloration. And the funny thing was that with one of my orders a long time ago from Patrick Valenza, I had gotten a sample card from the Triomphe, which is when my fascination for it first began, but it was this original coloration, and I just loved it. I loved the old worldy feel. I loved how like twisty it was in the same way that the Deviant Moon is twisty. Patrick Valenza is the creator of the Deviant Moon Tarot as well. So this is by the same, by the same creator. So I was really fascinated and I thought the Paradoxical Rose would be really fun, but I didn't like the uniform coloring. I didn't like the negative, the way that the lighter spaces were dark and the darker spaces were light. It weirded me out. I didn't like it. So I finally bit the bullet and got the Triomphe De La Luna. This is the English text version and the current printing, which I think is the third or fourth printing or third or fourth edition. So we are going to get into it. It comes in a tuck box. And if you don't know, the Triomphe is a Marseille type deck. I believe Triomphe is a particular kind of Marseille, but I am by no means an expert on Marseille or the various types of Marseille decks, so just do your own homework on that bit. So this is the English text version. I don't know what this 333 means. Maybe that means it's the third edition. I don't know. I was going to show you the backings. Triomphe de la Luna evolved from a series of spontaneous ink drawings created on the wrappers of signed Deviant Moon tarot decks. Originally released as a majors-only collection, we here at the Asylum now proudly present this fully completed tarot for your approval. You can download the little white book at, and there's a link to download that at. And yeah, so that's great. So let's get into it. I was going to show you the backings. So I love the uniform color of the backings. It's just really straightforward. It's all these like little moons in different directions. Love that. All right, let's zoom in and take a quick walk through the cards. I'm not going to go into any intense detail. I haven't gotten to know this deck yet enough to do a real deep dive, but let's just see what comes through. So we have the Fool, the flaming out the butt. Magician, Bloody Knife, cards down underneath the table. Lots of interesting energy here. And this does have a very kind of dark, creepy vibe, as is the way that Patrick Valenza's artwork is. High Priestess, the Emperor. This was the sample card I had, and I just loved it. I don't know why. It was just so expressive. Patrick's art is very expressive. Now, this has a very different textural quality to it than the Deviant Moon Tarot does. Like, the Deviant Moon's colors are very bold and crisp. This has an almost aged look to it, so the colors are a little muted, just the tiniest bit, so that it literally looks like it's worn. It really, like, lends to the aesthetic of the deck, I think. The Lovers. The Chariot. Justice. This also feels more like it's set in a different, I can't talk. This feels like it's set in a very different setting, whereas the Deviant Moon Tarot is very like in a, almost like a post-apocalyptic kind of world. This feels like it's in a like just old world, if that makes sense. The Hermit card. Wheel of Fortune. Strength. It almost looks Greek in the background. Greek or Roman. The Hanged Man. I kind of dig the cocoon feel here, but also the discomfort represented by the snake. This is the Death card. Temperance. Interesting, she only has one wing here, so there's no wing at all on the other side. There's an elephant in the background of this one. That's interesting. The Devil. Oh, and the Devil. So we have two different Devil cards. This one, facing forward with the face at the belly or whatever, is, I think, a little more traditional perhaps. This one they have different directional qualities. So if direction is a way that you read with Marseille, it will matter which one you choose. You can, I'm assuming, just choose whichever one you want to work with. For now, I'm going to stick with this face on one and pull the other one out. Next, we have the Tower. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there is 3 choices for the Tower card. You have a very traditional looking tower with like lightning flame hitting the building and characters falling out. You also have the House of God. That's really interesting. And the lightning. I really love the lightning, but I think for now I'm going to keep the traditional tower in the deck, at least until I get to work with it a bit. Next we have the star. Oh, here again. Okay. So I think this used to be called like the astronomer or something like that, but now it is just another option for the star. So this more traditional, and this has a totally different feel to it. I think I'm going to stick with this one for now because it looks a little more like the Marseille star. She's got a fish biting her foot in the back. It's so interesting. Then we have the moon, the sun, judgment. Oh, and another alternate. Definitely going to stick with it. You can kind of sense a theme. I think these alternative cards are really super interesting, but I think for now I'm going to stick with the traditional. And the world. I say traditional. The artwork is anything but traditional. Okay, we're going to flip through the minors pretty quickly. Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, bloody sword, 6, eyeball, 7, wings, interesting, 8, blood drops, 9, very bloody sword, and 10, 2 swords with blood. Then we have our page, knight, queen, and king. Now we're into our wands. Ace, 2, 3. I love these wands. This is actually this is the 4. This is probably one of the things that attracted me the most to the deck. I love the coloring. I love the kind of parchmenty feel, the way it looks a little bit worn and aged. And I just love how decorative all the pips are. 5, there's an eyeball in the center there. 6, 7, 8. Are these like little moons? It looks like almost little moons. 9 and 10. Very traditional Marseille arrangement of the pips. Next we have our page of wands, our knight of wands, queen of wands. Interesting with all these like people behind her, and king of wands. Next we have cups, ace of cups, very ornate, full castle, fountains, the whole works. The 2 of cups, 3, eyeball, 4, mask, interesting, 5, 6, little sun, 7, 8, 9, eyeballs, and 10. I like how this is definitely filling the cup, and you get the feeling that this one's filling this one, which will then trickle down and fill all the rest. Page of cups. That's really interesting. Knight of cups. Queen. Love her. And king. Finally, we have the coins. Ace. 2, Deviant Moon Inc. New York, 2016. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Page. Love that he's chasing the little flying coin. That's great. Knight on a sleeping dragon just waking up. Time to go after the money. Queen and king. Oh, right. Okay, so there's also oracle cards. I would have to look up the little guidebook to know what any of these are supposed to mean, but they turn horizontal. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't know if I'll use these. I guess we'll see. But here we have the number 1, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the Puppet Master, 7. Ooh, there's a lot of two-faced energy in that card. That's interesting. 8, 9, and 10. Love, happiness, peace, hope. The bluebirds flew home at last. So that is the Deviant Moon Tarot and Oracle. I'm going to just take these extra cards and the Oracle cards and put this little title card between them and the rest of the deck, like that. Actually, I better put it on top or I will never remember to pull them out. So let's do it this way. There we go. So that is the Triomphe De La Luna. Let me know in the comments down below if you have this deck or what you think of it. I'm super curious to find out what you guys think. I really enjoy working with the Deviant Moon Tarot, so to me this is just a natural evolution. I like Pip decks. I like Marseille decks, specifically for certain types of readings, so I'm happy to have a very shadowy Marseille deck to reach for, so love that. Next, let's look at the Darkness of Light Tarot. So this is signed by the creator. Still don't know his name. I feel like I should, but I don't. Maybe it says on the cards. Let's see. Designed and illustrated by Tony DeMauro. Thank you. This is the 4th edition. Now, I almost bought this deck when it was the 3rd edition, where it had white borders, but I'm glad I waited and got the black bordered version. This is a really nice cardstock. Oh, I didn't speak about the cardstock in the Triomphe De La Luna, but this is very much like a US Games style cardstock, which is the same cardstock. Well, US Games is who publishes the Deviant Moon Tarot. This is an independent deck, but the cardstock feels very similar, and also the box on this feels really nice and sturdy and smooth. Like, I'll probably keep it in the box. For this is a linen finish cardstock. Now, the funny thing is, I always looked at this backing and thought it kind of looked like Hagalaz, the rune Hagalaz, which may or may not be intentional, I'm not sure. But I had accidentally turned it sideways when I flipped it over, and it's a very clear image of a dog, like an angry, like, dog. Look at that. And then when you flip it, same thing here. Isn't that interesting? I never saw that before. Anyways, linen cardstock, really nice. We know linen cardstock is like plain cardstock, so it shuffles like a dream. I would assume this is also a black core stock. I don't know that for sure, but I'm assuming that's the case. Yeah, so darknesstarot.com is where you can purchase this. Let's zoom in and take a look at the artwork. This is a very lovely, but is very dark in tone deck. I think this will pair really beautifully with other decks when I'm doing like light and shadow style readings. So let's get into it. We have our Fool with his loyal dog beside him. The Magician. Now the majors have, I think this is Italian. Please somebody let me know down below. I think the text on the titles of the major arcana are Italian, but I believe the minors were English. High Priestess. I love how powerful she looks. The Empress looks very sensual. Emperor. The Hierophant. He looks very imposing, but I kind of like that. Love the sweetness in this Lover's card. Really, really enjoy this as well. This is our Strength card, and I just love how focused and determined she is. No, that's not Strength. That's the Chariot. I'm an idiot. I'm not an idiot. I take that back. No negative self-talk. Yeah, she's very focused and determined, but yeah, I still hold true to that. Here's our Strength card. It's funny I didn't catch that. She's got her hand in the lioness's mouth. Love that. I love this perspective on the Hermit. We're seeing him from behind. He's putting the light out over front, or like over front, in front of him, shining the light on the land down below. It's a really cool perspective. I love that. The Wheel of Fortune. Justice. Love this Hanged Man. I first really took a good close look at this deck when Peggy got a reading, actually, that this deck was used. I really enjoyed that. It was a really neat way to look at the deck, and I hadn't really seen it in action before, so that was my tipping point, I think, in really wanting this. Temperance. The Devil card. The Tower. The Star. It looks monochromatic, but there are subtle colors in the majors. It's just they're very, very muted. Here we have the Moon card, and this looks like a two-headed dog to me. Really cool. And then the Sun with the friendly dog, and I really like the contrast there between the like scary dogs and then the friendly dog and the Sun and the Moon. Judgment. Super intense, this card. And the World. And now we're into our minors. I also really appreciate that if you go to darknesstarot.com, if you are looking at the deck, all of the cards, you can see all of the cards. So I actually didn't need a walkthrough for this deck because they were all visible right on the creator's website, which I super appreciate. A lot of us have deal breaker cards, right? Cards that we look for to see if we're going to get on with the deck, cards that are important to us for some reason. So when a creator has all of the artwork visible, and I recognize there's a risk in that because you know, people will steal and pirate decks, and it's a problem. But I don't care if it's heavily watermarked or anything like that, but just being able to see all the cards, it really helps when you're making a buying decision. 8 of Blades, that 9, look at that, and the 10. No actual blood visible in this card, which is kind of nice. Very wintry in the blade suit here. The Page, Knight, Queen, and King. He looks like a Stark, Ned Stark to me from Game of Thrones. This would be a great deck if you love Game of Thrones. This is a very Game of Thrones-y kind of feel. I mean, I also have the Game of Thrones tarot, but just saying. Now we have the wands, and we have this beautiful like spring feel maybe, with the pink sky and the green. Ace, 2, 3. Interesting that the 4, it's like on a window, like a decoration on a window. That's an interesting choice for the 5. Like on the 4, it's like a little pippish, but I get it. It's like it's decoration on a home, so that works for the meaning of the 4 of Wands. But the 5 is normally some kind of competition. If you have this deck and you work with this deck, let me know your thoughts on the 5 of Wands down below. I feel like it's a little out of place in a way, like it's making a pentacle, which is cool, but it doesn't feel like the 5 of Wands to me. Like I feel like, yeah, it doesn't feel like the 5 of Wands. Curious what your thoughts on it are. I haven't looked at the guidebook, or is there a guidebook? I just realized. I don't think there's a guidebook. There's no mention of a digital guidebook. So yeah, I'd be curious about your thoughts on the 5 of Wands. The 6, 7. Love that 8 of Wands. It's very like powerful and like, again, focused. I really appreciate that. I often say focused or see focused, I guess, when I see a bow and arrow. So, but I just really like the feel of that. The 9 of Wands. Interesting how he's like up here defending, but the thing he's defending is way behind him. Like it's so easy to go around. I like seeing a bit of a flaw in the defense of the 9 of Wands because I think oftentimes we're defending something in a useless way or in a way where we don't need to, things like that. 10 of Wands, the Page, Knight, Queen, love her, and King. Yay, and then we're into the cups, which look very kind of summery. We've got blue skies, fluffy white clouds, and the sea beneath. I love the lotus coming out of the Ace of Cups. I am a sucker for a lotus in the Ace of Cups. I've probably said that a bazillion times, but it's a thing for me. I love the lotus symbology, and it really works for the cup suit for me. 2 of Cups. I will say this is so far a very, I haven't seen a whole lot of like, there's a lot of decent, I guess, age representation through the minor arcana. I think the kings look like they're in like their middle age. The queens maybe are trending a little young, but it is kind of a body beautiful deck. I don't really mind that in this deck because it has a very specific aesthetic and feel, and it feels very harmonized. There's the 3 of Cups, the 4, 5, yes. And I love this 6 of Cups. This is one of the cards that really grabbed me when I was first looking at this and considering the purchase of this deck. I love the sun glow from behind, that like backlit look that just adds a little ethereal, maybe rose-colored glasses kind of view to this card, which I really appreciate in that particular card. The 7 of Cups. Castle in the Sky. Love that. The 8 of Cups. This is great. I love the perspective of being behind the cups while the figure is walking away in front of you. You get the feeling of being the one who maybe is being left, which is something we don't always see in the 8 of Cups. We do really, when we're thinking about it, probably see it more than we realize. But I often think of this, the 8 of Cups, as the perspective of leaving versus being left. And this like really brings that into contrast. The 9 of Cups. Not my favorite 9 of Cups ever, but I'm very particular about 9 of Cups. It definitely works. It's just not my absolute favorite. The 10 of Cups. The Page. I love her. She feels very elfish to me. Elven? Is there the right way to say that? The Knight of Cups. The Queen of Cups. I love her exposed belly. Yes, it does look a little bit like she's pregnant, but it also just looks like it's exposed. And I like that vulnerability that we see. I appreciate that. and the King of Cups. He looks like a freaking Scorpio guy if I've ever seen a Scorpio guy. Ace of Coins. Now these look more like autumn to me with the wheat and stuff. So the ace, the 2. It's a creepy looking 3, actually. Let's just see. Let's bring it in a little closer. What do you guys think? Kind of looks like a secret society or something. Not like they're building something, but like they're up to something. There's our 4. Oh, 5, the dog coming in out of the rain. I love that. It's a neat perspective on the 5. The 6, 7, 8. Yes, I love a good like hammer and anvil in the 8 of Coins. The 9. She looks less walled off than we typically see in the 9 of Coins, but she does look separated. My favorite. I love when we get like a hearth feel in the 10 of Coins, and you definitely do in this one. We are kind of missing the traditional arrangement of the coins in that Kabbalistic tree of life shape, but while I've come to recognize that I kind of appreciate seeing that, I don't really do anything with that information. I just like kind of have gotten used to seeing it, but I love the dog in front of the fireplace so much. Page of Coins, Knight of Coins, the Queen. I love that she's got all these woodland creatures around her, and the King with his pumpkins. So there we have it. These are 2 darker decks that have recently come into my collection. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think of these. Do you have either of them? Do you consider them dark decks? I feel like this could read in a variety of situations. It just has a very dark aesthetic, but it doesn't feel specifically all that shadowy. It definitely could be. It does have this very like raw medieval feel, a little bit like the world of the Game of Thrones, where it's like it's not glossed over or like fluffified, if that makes sense. It feels like raw. It feels like raw medieval kind of energy. So that's fun. Triomphe, we'll see how we get along. I'm excited to have a Marseille deck that has this kind of old feel, but is very like kind of creepy and dark. I think that'll be fun to work with. I definitely think it'll be fun to pair it with a little bit lighter looking Marseille decks that I have. So that'll be super fun. Yeah, I'm curious to hear what you guys think of these decks. Thank you so much for joining me for this 2-for-1 walkthrough of the Triomphe De La Luna and the Darkness of Light Tarot. Super curious to hear what you guys think, so definitely drop me a comment down below. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed this double walkthrough or if you found value in it. Subscribe if you're new here. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you are notified of my upcoming videos, my live streams. I've got some really exciting things coming to the channel. So as always, there are links in the description box down below for ways that you can support the channel. I will also have links to these 2 decks down there. They are both independent decks, so we'll have links to the creators' websites there for you to click on. And thank you so much for joining me. May your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye, guys.